The message arrived on a quiet Tuesday morning when the world was busy with normal life. Schools were open, markets were crowded, and people were scrolling on their phones. No one expected anything unusual. No one imagined the sky was minutes away from turning red. The first warning came from Horizon Station, a human research base orbiting above Earth. The station usually monitored stars, comets, and harmless space noise. But that morning, the noise changed. It became a voice. A cold, metallic voice speaking in a language that humans shouldn't have understood, but somehow did. The message said only one thing: Neil, Dr. Elian Ward, the station's chief scientist, played the message again and again. It was not a request. It was a command. Behind the voice, he could hear the hum of giant engines. Something powerful was approaching Earth, and it was not friendly. Elian reported the message to Earth Command instantly, but by the time he finished speaking, the station began to shake. He thought it was turbulence. He was wrong. A massive shadow covered the entire station. When he looked out the viewing window, his hands went cold. An alien dread not darker than space itself was hovering right above them. It was so large it blocked the sunlight. Before the team could react, a beam of red energy shot through the station's hull. Metal tore apart like paper. Horizon Station didn't explode. It simply broke into pieces and scattered into the void. Back on Earth, every satellite showed the same thing. The invaders had arrived. People around the world stopped what they were doing. Flights were grounded, soldiers were deployed, and city streets filled with fear. Earth Command activated global emergency channels. Generals and leaders from every continent gathered in a single secure room. No one was calm. No one had answers until one man entered. Admiral Kane Voss, commander of Earth's Deep Space Fleet, walked in with a serious expression. Many thought he was retired. Many believed he no longer had power. But when he spoke, the room fell silent. They didn't come to talk, he said. They came to take. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed something darker, something he had been hiding for years. General Ruiz asked him the question on everyone's mind. Who are they? Kane answered slowly. They call themselves the Sovereigns, he said. They believe all life must submit. Worlds that resist are burned. They have destroyed dozens of civilizations. The room went cold. Some leaders began to panic. Some shouted. Some argued. But Kane only watched the hologram of Earth spinning slowly. He knew the enemy was waiting for humanity to kneel. Humanity would not. He tapped a secure command code into the table. Something locked deep beneath the ocean responded. For decades, Earth had been building something in secret. Something even the public didn't know. Something meant only for the darkest day. That day had arrived. The lights dimmed, and a hidden screen opened, showing a fleet of enormous black warships rising from beneath the waves. They were shaped like blades, sharp and silent. Their hulls were dark metal mixed with an unknown alloy. Their engines glowed crimson. The Black Armada. Years ago, humanity had discovered fragments of ancient alien technology buried on the moon. Kane led a secret program to reverse engineer it, preparing for the day an unstoppable force arrived. Only a handful of people knew these ships existed. Now the world was about to see them. Kane, General Ruiz whispered. You told us this fleet wasn't ready. It isn't, Kane replied. But neither is Earth. He turned to the room. If we kneel, we die as cowards. If we stand, we fight as humans. The Sovereigns think Earth is weak. Let's prove them wrong. At that moment, alarms rang across the planet. The Sovereign fleet entered the atmosphere, and the sky lit up with red streaks. Their fighters swarmed like a metal storm. Their dreadnoughts shattered clouds as they descended. People fled. Buildings shook. The world trembled. The first enemy beam struck a military base and turned it into molten glass. King gave the order. All Black Armada units, launch. Hidden ocean doors opened like massive jaws. Water exploded upward as the black warships rose into the air. Thousands of sleek human starfighters broke the surface and shot toward the sky. Earth was no longer kneeling. High above, the Sovereign flagships and the human response. The alien commander's 6 black eyes narrowed with amusement. Primitive resistance detected. It hissed. Eliminate. The battle ignited instantly. Human starfighters fired bright blue lasers. Sovereign interceptors responded with crimson beams. Explosions flashed across the upper atmosphere, leaving trails of smoke and falling debris. The sound of war carried even to the ground as thunderous vibrations. One of the Black Armada capital ships, the Obsidian Crown, charged straight toward the center of the invading fleet. Its cannons fired in synchronized pulses, punching holes through enemy shields. The Sovereigns retaliated, launching volleys of red plasma that shook the ship's armor. Inside the command bridge, Admiral Kane stood tall, gripping the rail as the ship trembled under enemy fire. Officer Lara sent him a worried glance. "They're stronger than we expected," she said. Kane nodded. "Good, so are we." But deep inside him, he felt the truth: the enemy was terrifying, and Earth had never faced a threat like this still. Humanity had something the Sovereigns had never seen, a species that refused to kneel. The sky above Earth looked like a burning sea of lights. Red beams, blue bursts, and fire trails crossed each other as the two forces clashed. From the ground, people stared up in shock. Some recorded on their phones, some prayed, and some simply held each other tightly, waiting for whatever happened next. High in the upper atmosphere, the Obsidian Crown led the human formation. The massive ship moved like a silent shadow, its dark armor absorbing enemy explosions as if swallowing fire. Admiral Kane stood at the center of the bridge, his eyes locked on the growing swarm of Sovereign ships. Lara monitored the radar, her fingers shaking slightly. "More enemy fighters coming from the left flank," she reported, the dreadnoughts forming behind them. "They're trying to surround us." Kane didn't blink. "Tell the Viper squadrons to break their line. I want pressure on their wings now." Lara sent the command quickly. Far ahead, the Viper squadron fastest starfighters in the Black Armada split into two lines and dove directly toward the incoming enemy. The Sovereign fighters expected them to retreat. Instead, the humans accelerated. The clash was instant. Blue human lasers cut through alien hulls. Red enemy beams smashed through several human fighters, sending them burning downward. The sky flickered with small explosions, one after another, like fireworks made of metal and fire. Commander Rion, leader of Viper Squadron, shouted into his comms, "Push forward. Don't give them space." His ship dodged the red beams, spun sharply, and fired a single shot that pierced the Sovereign fighter's engine. It burst into flames, spiraling out of control. Rion didn't celebrate. There was no time. Another wave of enemy ships appeared behind him. "Where are they all coming from?" He muttered. Back on the Obsidian Crown, the ship trembled. A Sovereign dreadnought was firing straight at them. Its beams were thicker, brighter, and far more powerful than the smaller ships, shields failing. One officer shouted, "If we take another hit, the front armor will crack." Kane raised his hand calmly. "Fire the ventral cannons." The ship shifted slightly, and the bottom cannons aimed downward. A massive white-blue blast shot out, hitting the enemy dreadnought directly. The explosion lit up the darkness like a miniature sun. Even the alien ship's heavy armor couldn't withstand the strike. It broke apart, drifting into glowing fragments, a step forward hope. But the Sovereigns didn't slow down. They sent another group of dreadnoughts from behind their main fleet. The enemy ships opened fire at once. Thick beams of red light rained down on Earth's ships from every direction. The Obsidian Crown shook so violently that several officers lost their balance. Sparks flew from damaged panels. Smoke began to fill part of the bridge. Lara looked at Kane, her voice tense. "Admiral, if this continues, our defenses won't hold." Kane stared at the hologram map showing enemy patterns. He saw something others didn't: an unusual formation in the enemy fleet. Their dreadnoughts were protecting a single massive vessel in the center. Its shape was different, smoother, almost ceremonial. "This isn't just an invasion," Kane said softly. "They brought their command ship." Lara's eyes widened. "The Sovereign flagship?" Kane gave a slow nod. "If we want to survive, we need to hit it." On the enemy flagship, high above the battle, the Sovereign commander observed the fight. Its 6 eyes blinked slowly, studying humanity's resistance. Its voice buzzed like electricity. "They fight harder than predicted," it said, "but they will break." A soldier beside it hissed, "The Black Armada is advanced. Their technology does not match their level." "It is concerning." The commander turned all 6 eyes toward him. "Do not fear the primitive ones. Their spirit burns bright, but bright flames die fast." It raised a clawed hand. "Prepare the planetfall cannon." The soldier hesitated. "Commander, that weapon will destroy half their world." "That is the point." Back in the human fleet, Kane felt the shift. The Sovereign flagship's massive underbelly panels were opening, revealing a glowing red sphere the size of a building. Lara gasped. "Admiral, that's a super weapon." "It's worse," Kane replied. "That's a planet killer." Panic spread across the bridge. "We have to stop it." "We don't have the firepower. Our ships are too far." Kane raised his voice firmly. Enough. Everyone fell silent. Send this message to all human units, he ordered. We strike the flagship. All forces converge. Lyra sent the command, and the human fleet obeyed instantly. Starfighters across the sky turned sharply and launched toward the center of the enemy formation. Dreadnoughts from the Black Armada repositioned, forming a spear-like shape. The Obsidian Crown took the lead. The Sovereigns noticed the movement immediately. The flagship's cannon brightened, preparing to fire. Human ships pushed harder. Even as enemy fighters chased them, explosions followed them like fiery ghosts. Rion's voice cracked through comms. We won't reach them in time. They're about to fire. King clenched his jaw. Faster. The enemy cannon reached full charge. A deep vibration spread through the air, so powerful that even humans on the surface felt the ground shake. The commander of the Sovereigns whispered, "Kneel." A sphere of red energy began to form at the cannon center. King's heart pounded. Lyra stared in horror. Earth was seconds away from destruction. The red sphere growing under the Sovereign flagship pulsed brighter and brighter, sending waves of energy across the sky. Clouds twisted from the pressure. Birds scattered. People on the ground shielded their eyes from the terrifying glow. Everyone could feel the danger, even without understanding it. Inside the Obsidian Crown, alarms screamed in every corner of the bridge. Officers rushed between stations. Sparks jumped from broken panels. The ship's engines roared as King pushed them to their limits. Lyra watched the enemy weapon charge meter rise. Her voice shook. "Admiral, the cannon will fire in less than 30 seconds. King's expression didn't change. "We're not dying today." He turned toward Tactical Officer Harlan. "Prepare the shadow drive." Harlan froze. "Sir, the shadow drive is unstable. If we use it now, we might tear the ship apart. Or we survive," King replied. "Activate it." The room fell silent. Even Lyra looked uncertain. The shadow drive was a prototype engine built from the strange alien ruins humanity found on the moon. It could bend space for short jumps, but tests showed it overheated easily. Using it in battle was almost suicidal, but there was no other choice. Harlan swallowed hard. Activating shadow drive. A deep hum filled the ship. Lights flickered. The metal walls vibrated as if something inside was trying to escape. A dark mist-like energy formed around the ship's engines. Lyra gripped the side of her console. "Sir, we're getting dangerous readings." King stared straight ahead. "Good. That means it's working." In front of them, the Sovereign flagship began aiming downward toward Earth. The massive red sphere of energy grew large enough to cast a bloody glow across half the sky. Commander Rion, flying far ahead with the Viper Squadron, shouted into the comms, "We can't hold them back any longer." Enemy fighters everywhere. Explosions came from every direction as human ships fell. The Black Armada was strong, but the Sovereign swarm seemed endless. Back on the flagship, the Sovereign commander slowly lowered his hand. "Prepare to fire." The cannon center condensed into a single burning point, brighter than anything in the sky. On the Obsidian Crown, the shadow drive reached full charge. The ship's hull groaned under the pressure. Panels cracked. The floor vibrated so hard officers had to hold onto desks. Lyra whispered, "If we jump now, we might never return." King answered, "If we don't jump now, we don't need to return." He raised his hand. Shadow drive. Engage. The Obsidian Crown vanished into a smear of darkness. For a fraction of a second, the ship was nowhere inside a tier of bending space. There was no sound, no light, no time, just twisting shadows pressing in from all sides. Several officers cried out. One fell to the floor. Lyra felt like her lungs froze in place. Then, the ship reappeared less than a kilometer from the Sovereign flagship dot right in front of the massive cannon dot. The instant the Obsidian Crown appeared in front of the Sovereign flagship, chaos erupted across the battlefield. Enemy fighters spun out of formation, confused by the impossible jump. Human pilots gasped when they saw the massive human warship materialize right at the mouth of the planet killer cannon dot inside the Obsidian Crown. The bridge shook violently from the sudden re-entry. Lyra grabbed the railing, struggling to breathe after the crushing pressure of the shadow drive. Harlan shouted, "Systems unstable. Hull temperature reaching maximum." King didn't waste a second. "Target the cannon core. Fire everything." The forward cannons roared. Beams of blue-white energy shot straight into the glowing red sphere of the enemy weapon. The cannon surface cracked like breaking glass. Light burst from the fractures. On the Sovereign flagship, alarms blared. The commander snapped his eyes open wide. "Return fire. Stop that ship." But it was too late for caution. The enemy cannon began to overload, energy built inside the sphere, swirling violently. The crackling lights intensified until the entire belly of the flagship trembled. The Sovereign Commander slammed his fist against the console. Divert power. Shut down the containment. A soldier screeched, "We cannot." The human attacked to stabilize the core. The commander turned all 6 eyes toward the obsidian crown, hatred burning inside them. "Then destroy them with us." The flagship's batteries opened fire at once. Red beams hit the human ship from both sides. The obsidian crown shook under the impact, metal plates ripping away. Lara yelled. "Shields almost gone. One more hit and we're exposed." Kane braced himself as another explosion hit the side of the ship. "Maintain fire on the cannon," he ordered. Outside, the Sovereign cannon reached the breaking point. The glowing sphere began collapsing inward. Light twisted unnaturally, folding into itself. An explosion erupted silent at first, then expanding into a wave of raw energy. The shockwave smashed into the obsidian crown, throwing the ship sideways. Human pilots in the area were tossed around like insects in a storm. Enemy fighters were wiped out instantly when the light finally faded. The entire front section of the Sovereign flagship was gone, vaporized by its own failure. But the ship still lived. A dark shape emerged from the smoke. The surviving half of the flagship drifted forward, damaged but not defeated. Its engines burned bright blue. Its weapons reactivated one by one. Lara's eyes widened. "Admiral, it's still coming." King clenched his jaw. "They're not stopping." In the flagship's command chamber, the Sovereign Commander rose from the smoke in falling sparks. Half of its armor had melted into his skin, but his eyes burned stronger than ever. "Prepare boarding vessels," it ordered. "I will tear their ship open myself." Back at the battlefront, Rion's fighter limped toward the obsidian crown. His wings were scorched, engines flickering. He radioed in, voice strained. "Admiral, Viper Squadron lost more than half its pilots. Enemy reinforcements are entering orbit. We can't hold much longer." Lara scanned the sky. She saw 3 new dreadnoughts breaking through the clouds above, followed by hundreds of fighters. "Their arrival darkened the horizon." She whispered, "There are too many." For a moment, even Kane felt the weight of despair. The Black Armada was powerful, but humanity was outnumbered on a terrifying scale. He knew the enemy would keep sending ships until Earth was ashes. But then something unexpected happened. A new group of signals appeared on radar coming from the far side of the moon. Lara blinked in confusion. "Admiral, detecting unknown ships. They're human." Kane straightened. "Impossible. There are no fleets beyond our range." But the signals grew clearer. One by one, enormous black warships appeared from behind the moon. Their designs were even more advanced than the Black Armada, sleeker, sharper, almost predatory. Their engines glowed with a deep violet color. Lara stared in disbelief. "Who are they?" A communication request appeared. Kane accepted it. A convoy spoke through the bridge speakers. "This is Commander Solara of the Eclipse Vanguard. We received your distress code. We stand with Earth." Kane froze. The Eclipse Vanguard, a secret sister fleet, built alongside the Black Armada, but never activated. It was meant to be humanity's last hope if Earth ever faced extinction. Only a handful of people knew it existed. Kane himself had believed it was still incomplete, but here they were, hundreds of new warships, ready for battle. Lara almost smiled. "Sir, this could change everything." The Eclipse Vanguard moved in perfect formation, slicing through space like a great storm. Their forward cannons glowed brilliantly as they targeted the incoming Sovereign reinforcements. Commander Solara's voice returned, firm and steady. "Admiral Kane, give the order. We will break their line." Kane exhaled slowly. For the first time since the invasion began, hope filled his chest. He raised his fist. "All units," Kane commanded, "fight with everything you have. Today, humanity stands together." The Eclipse Vanguard fired their first volley. The sky exploded with light. The new human fleet cut through the Sovereign reinforcements with terrifying precision. Dreadnoughts shattered. Fighters fell like burning meteors. The battlefield shifted instantly. The humans were no longer surviving, they were winning. But the Sovereign flagship still advanced toward the obsidian crown. The enemy commander was coming, and Kane knew the real battle had only just begun. The battlefield glowed with clashing lights from the massive fleets. The arrival of the Eclipse Vanguard pushed back the Sovereign swarm, but the fight was far from over. The remains of the Sovereign flagship continued to advance toward the Obsidian Crown, its engines blazing blue fire through the smoke inside the human command ship. Alarms still rang and sparks crackled as systems struggled to stay online. Engineers moved quickly, sealing damaged sections and restoring broken circuits. Lara wiped sweat from her forehead as she monitored the flagship's movements. "Admiral," she said, her voice tight, "the flagship is moving straight toward us. It's ignoring every other target." Keen already knew why. "They're coming for us," he said calmly. "The commander wants the ship destroyed." Harlan's console beeped sharply. "Starboarding vessels incoming." Lara's eyes widened. "They're not just attacking. They're trying to get inside." Small, claw-shaped enemy ships shot out from the Sovereign flagship, gliding like shadows through the smoke. Their engines left thin trails of red light behind them. They weren't firing weapons. They were hooking onto the hull. Metal claws dug into the Obsidian Crown. The entire ship groaned under the pressure. The claws opened, revealing armored Sovereign soldiers ready to invade. King spoke quickly. "Seal the lower decks. Deploy security teams." Lara activated internal defenses. Security drones active. Bulkhead doors closing. But it was too late for some sections. The first soldiers broke through, cutting open the hull with glowing red blades. They entered with frightening precision, tall and armored, their movements smooth and cold. Their black eyes scanned every corridor as they marched forward. In the engineering deck, Chief Engineer Mara heard the metal tearing open. She grabbed a shock rifle and shouted to her team, "They're inside. Hold your ground." Her engineers formed a defensive line, firing at the invaders. Blue bolts of energy clashed with red alien armor. Sparks flew everywhere. A Sovereign soldier charged forward, knocking the engineers aside like they were nothing. Mara aimed carefully and fired a shot straight into its face. The alien fell, its armor cracking open, but more moved in behind it, fast and relentless. A loud explosion shook the deck as drones dropped from the ceiling and fired at the invaders, giving the humans a chance to fall back, retreat to the upper deck. Mara shouted, "Go!" Above them, Keen watched the internal cameras with a hard expression. "They're spreading too fast. They're heading for the reactor." Lara's voice tightened. "If they reach the reactor, they can destroy the entire ship." Keen nodded. "Then we stop them." He turned to a small group of elite soldiers standing near the bridge entrance. They wore black armor with the symbol of the Black Armada on their shoulders. "Guard the bridge," Keen ordered. "No one gets through." Then he stepped forward. Lara blinked in shock. "Admiral, you can't go into the halls yourself. I'm not watching my crew die while I hide behind a console." He grabbed a pulse rifle from the rack and stepped off the bridge, down below. The Sovereign soldiers continued their push. Their blades sliced through doors like they were made of paper. Humans fell back, fighting desperately. The hallways echoed with shouts, gunfire, and metallic impacts. Keen moved through the smoke-filled corridors with controlled speed. He turned a corner and saw 3 soldiers pinned behind an overturned table, firing at approaching aliens. One shouted, "Admiral, what are you?" "Save it," Keen said. "Focus on the target." He aimed, fired, and hit the nearest alien in the chest. The creature stumbled back, armor cracking. Another swung its blade toward Keen, but he dodged and fired again, dropping it with a direct hit to the throat. The soldiers beside him pushed forward with renewed strength, but the Sovereigns kept coming. Meanwhile, Rion's fighter floated near the Obsidian Crown, engine smoking. His voice trembled through the comms. "Admiral, boarding ships are attaching to the outer hull. I can try to shoot some off." "Negative," Keen replied, ducking behind cover as enemy fire hit the wall. "Your ship is too damaged. Return to the Vanguard formation." "I'm not leaving you," Rion argued. Keen fired another shot. "We don't have time for arguments. Go." Reluctantly, Rion turned his fighter away, limping back toward the Eclipse Vanguard. Inside the Obsidian Crown, the enemy had reached deeper decks. They moved like a tide, silent, efficient, deadly. Keen and his small team fought through corridor after corridor, pushing toward the reactor room. Every step closer, the resistance grew stronger. Sovereign soldiers clogged the hallways, trying to break into the reactor chamber. Lara's voice came through Keen's comms. "Admiral, the enemy commander is on the flagship." Sensors show it preparing to transfer over. Keen didn't stop firing. "Then we finish this before it arrives." At the reactor chamber, Mara and her team were nearly overrun. The giant metal door behind them thumped repeatedly as aliens tried to cut through. The moment Keen arrived, he shouted, "Fall back." Mara looked up, stunned. "Sir, No time, Kane said, pulling her behind cover. Together, they unleashed a powerful volley at the approaching invaders. The hallway lit up with flashes of blue and red. Bodies, human and alien, lay scattered across the floor. Finally, the last soldier fell, but the victory was brief. A loud metallic thud echoed through the ship. Then, another dot, then a slow tearing. Sound like the hull itself was being peeled open. Lyra's voice trembled through the comms. "Admiral, the enemy commander has boarded the ship." Silence filled the corridor. Everyone felt the temperature drop. Kane's eyes narrowed. The real enemy had arrived. A cold silence spread through the damaged corridors of the Obsidian Crown. Every soldier on board felt it, an unnatural pressure, like the air itself was tightening around them. Lights flickered, panels buzzed, and the metal walls vibrated as something heavy stepped inside the ship. Kane raised his rifle slowly. Mara whispered, What is that feeling?" Kane already knew. The Sovereign Commander. "It's on the ship now." Down the central hallway, the bulkhead door suddenly buckled inward. Sparks flew. A deep, grinding noise followed, as if some enormous creature was carving through the metal with its bare hands. Then the door exploded outward. From the smoke stepped a towering figure, over 8 feet tall. Its armor was cracked from the earlier cannon explosion, but still gleamed dark red. 6 black eyes glowed like burning coals. In one hand, it carried a long blade made of pure energy, pulsing with an evil red light. The Sovereign Commander. Its voice echoed down the corridor, metallic and cold. "Human leader, I smell your defiance." Kane stepped forward slowly, rifle steady. "And I see your failure." The commander tilted its head, amused. "Your world should have kneel. Your resistance is wasteful." Behind Kane, soldiers tightened their grip on their weapons. Mara swallowed hard. No one dared speak. The commander raised its blade. "Submit." Kane's answer was a single shot. The bullet hit the commander square in the chest, but bounced off like a pebble thrown at steel. The alien barely reacted. Then everything happened at once. The commander dashed forward with impossible speed, swinging its blade. Kane dove aside just as the blade cut through the metal floor, leaving a glowing scar behind. Sparks burst everywhere. Kane rolled, aimed, and fired again and again. The rifle rounds hit the commander's armor, but barely slowed it. The alien moved with terrifying grace, closing the distance in seconds. A soldier tried to flank it, firing a heavy pulse cannon. The commander simply raised a hand, absorbing the shot into its armor, and slammed its blade into the soldier, sending him crashing into a wall. Mara cried out, pulling another soldier back behind cover. King gritted his teeth. "Focus fire on the joints. Don't waste shots on the armor." The soldiers obeyed. Blue energy bolts targeted the commander's knees, shoulders, and throat. Some shots hit, staggering the monster slightly, but only slightly. It roared a deep, vibrating sound that shook dust from the ceiling. The commander charged again. Kane barely blocked the blade with the butt of his rifle. The weapon shattered instantly. Kane stumbled backward, breath knocked out of him. The commander raised its blade for the kill. Suddenly, a blast of blue light slammed into the alien's side. It staggered. Mara stood behind Kane, holding a high-output reactor tool modified into a weapon. Her hands trembled from the recoil. "Stay away from him," she screamed. The commander slowly turned his 6 eyes toward her. "You dare." Mara fired again. The blast hit the alien's helmet, cracking the outer shell. The commander growled as faint purple blood dripped down the side of its face. Kane used the moment to grab the fallen soldier's cannon. He pulled Mara behind cover and fired a heavy shot straight at the commander's chest. This time, the blast pushed the alien back several steps. Smoke rose from his armor, and his breathing grew heavier. Lyra's voice came through Kane's comms, filled with urgency. "Admiral, enemy reinforcements are boarding from the left wing. We're losing control of the lower decks." Kane glanced at Mara, then at his soldiers. "We are not letting them take this ship. Hold them here, no matter what." The commander snarled, lifting his blade again. Kane shouted, "Spread out. Don't cluster." The alien leapt forward with incredible force. It landed onto soldiers, crushing them instantly. Its blade swung in a deadly arc, sparks flying as it hit the walls and floor. Kane fired repeatedly, but the commander charged straight through the bullets, grabbing Kane by the throat and slamming him against the wall. Kane gasped, struggling as the alien lifted him easily off the ground. "You lead bravely," the commander hissed. "A shame you will die in the dark." Mara screamed and fired another blast, hitting the alien in the back. The commander snarled and threw Kane across the corridor. He crashed onto the floor. Coughing, the alien turned toward Mara. No more interruptions. It sprinted toward her, but the remaining soldiers opened fire, hitting his legs from both sides. The commander stumbled for the first time. One soldier jumped from behind, attaching an explosive charge to the alien's back. Fall back, the soldier shouted. The commander reached back, grabbed the soldier, and smashed him into the ground. But it was too late. The charge detonated. Smoke and fire burst outward. The commander howled, armor cracking and plates falling off. But even now it did not fall. It stood. Wounded but furious, Kane pulled himself up, wiped the blood from his mouth, and shouted at Mara and the others. It's weakened. This is our chance. The commander stepped forward again, blade raised high outside the ship. Human and sovereign fleets clashed violently. The Eclipse Vanguard tried to push toward the flagship, but enemy reinforcements kept arriving. Inside the Obsidian Crown, Kane and the others faced the most dangerous enemy humanity had ever known. The final round of the fight was just beginning. The corridor shook as the Sovereign Commander stepped through the smoke. Armor cracked, energy blade burning dimmer, but still deadly. Kane wiped blood from his face and steadied his breath. His soldiers had formed a half-circle around him, weapons trembling but aimed forward. Everyone knew this was it. The commander raised his head slowly, 6 glowing eyes focusing on Kane. Your fight ends now. Kane stepped forward. No, it ends with you. With a roar, the commander dashed at them, moving with terrifying speed. Its blade sliced through the air, leaving burning trails of red light behind. The soldiers scattered just in time. Sparks exploded as the blade sliced into the metal floor. Kane fired the heavy shots, hitting the cracks in its armor. The alien staggered, but kept going. Mara fired the modified reactor tool again, hitting his shoulder. Purple blood splashed across the wall as the commander snarled in fury. Kane shouted, "Aim only for the weak points. Don't stop firing." The hallway lit up with blue bolts. Several hit the commander's exposed joints, forcing it to drop onto one knee for a moment. But even wounded, the alien fought like a beast. It leapt forward, grabbed a soldier by the leg, and threw him down the corridor. Another charged it bravely, only to be knocked aside with a single swing. Mara saw Kane struggling to reload his weapon. She grabbed another energy cell and slid it across the floor to him. The commander saw the motion and lunged for her. Kane reacted instantly, firing a blast straight into the alien's knee. The commander collapsed sideways, crashing into a metal wall. The blow dented the armor deeper, exposing glowing wiring underneath. The alien hissed, "You delay the inevitable, but you cannot change fate." Kane stood tall despite his injuries. Fate belongs to those who fight for it. The commander exploded forward again, faster than before. Kane barely avoided the blade as it sliced through the air where his head had been. He dropped to the ground, rolled, and fired upward, hitting the cracked section of the creature's chest. The commander roared and staggered back. At that same moment, Lyra's frantic voice echoed through the comms. "Admiral, the Eclipse Vanguard is breaking their main fleet. The Sovereign ships are falling back." Kane didn't look away from the monster. "We finished the commander, and the rest will retreat for good." The commander charged again. This time it targeted Mara. She froze as the massive blade came down, but Kane threw himself between them, catching the alien's arm with all his strength. The blade stopped inches from Mara's face. Kane groaned as his muscles strained, the energy blade burning the edge of his armor. The commander towered over him. "You protect the weak. Foolish." Kane spat blood. "That's what makes us human." He twisted sharply, forcing the commander off balance. The alien stumbled. Mara fired a blast point blank into its side. The explosion was strong enough to throw the commander into a wall. The armor shattered fully. Its chest glowed with an exposed energy core pulsing like a heart. Kane saw it the true weak point. He shouted, "Now, aim for the center." The remaining soldiers focused all fire on the exposed core. The hallway filled with blue light as every weapon shot at once. The commander shrieked with rage, stumbling forward, trying to shield its core with its arms. But it was too late. The continuous fire overwhelmed it. Sparks burst from its chest, arcs of purple energy spraying wildly. King grabbed the heavy pulse cannon from a fallen soldier. The commander looked up at him, eyes dimming. "You will not survive the next war." King lifted the cannon. "Then we'll be ready." He fired. The blast hit the core directly. A massive explosion filled the corridor with light. When it faded, the commander collapsed to his knees. The blade vanished from its hand. Its armor peeled away into ash. The creature let out one last breath before falling face down on the floor. The Sovereign Commander was dead. Silence fell. Everyone froze, staring at the fallen alien. Then, slowly, relief washed over them. Some soldiers cried. Some collapsed from exhaustion. Mara leaned against the wall. Trembling, Keen took a long breath, lowering his weapon. "It's over." Lyra's voice came again, this time filled with hope. "Admiral, enemy ships are retreating. Their entire fleet is falling back into orbit." Outside, the Eclipse Vanguard fired their final volleys. Sovereign dreadnoughts, now leaderless, broke formation and jumped away into deep space. Smaller fighters followed, scattering like a retreating swarm across Earth. People watched the sky clear for the first time since the invasion began. Humanity had won. Inside the Obsidian Crown, Kane walked slowly toward the command bridge. Lights flickered, smoke drifted in the air, but the ship was still standing. The crew cheered the moment he entered. Lyra saluted, smiling for the first time in days. "Admiral, the planet is safe." Kane nodded. "Because we stood together." Commander Solara from the Eclipse Vanguard appeared on the main screen. Her voice was calm, but proud. "Earth has proven itself," she said. "This was not just survival. This was a message." Kane replied. "They ordered Earth to kneel. Instead, humanity stood up." Solara smiled and unleashed the Black Armada. Kane looked at his tired, brave crew. He looked at the broken hull, the sparks, the smoke, the scars of battle. "We'll rebuild," he said softly. Stronger than before, outside the ship, both fleets gathered in formation above Earth, watching the sunrise break through the clouds. Golden light washed over the battered ships, reflecting off their armor. Humanity had faced annihilation, but instead of kneeling, humanity rose. And the galaxy would never forget.